We think science has answers, equations, theories, peer review, but 12 events sit in lab files marked unsolved. Data that doesn't fit, measurements that break physics, witnesses with degrees who saw impossible things. These aren't ghost stories or internet myths. These are documented mysteries that make Nobel Prize winners shake their heads and close their notebooks. If you value documented scientific mysteries like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from peer-reviewed journals and official scientific reports. Now back to the story. Number 1. The WOW signal. August 15th, 1977. Delaware, Ohio. Big Ear radio telescope. Astronomer Jerry Amon pulls a printout from the computer. One signal jumps off the page. 72 seconds of pure power from the constellation Sagittarius. The frequency hits exactly 1420.4 megahertz. That's the hydrogen line, the universe's loudest natural radio frequency. Amon circles the signal and writes 6 letters in red ink. W-O-W. The signal carried 30 times more power than background noise. It came from a point in space smaller than our solar system. The Big Ear telescope used 2 feed horns that swept the sky as Earth rotated. Each horn had a 3-minute window to detect signals. The WOW signal appeared in one horn, vanished, then should have appeared in the second horn 3 minutes later. It didn't. That means whatever transmitted the signal shut off during those 3 minutes. Natural sources don't turn on and off like light switches. When they aimed the telescope back at that exact spot 3 days later, nothing. The SETI Institute has returned to those coordinates hundreds of times since 1977. Radio. Telescopes in Australia, Puerto Rico, and California have swept that patch of sky. 46 years of searching. Silence. The printout sits in a vault at Ohio History Center. 6 red letters that still have no answer. Number 2. The Taos hum. Taos, New Mexico. 1993. 2% of the population starts hearing it. A low-frequency hum, like a diesel engine idling in the distance. Always there, day and night. The sound sits between 30 and 80 hertz. Some people hear it so loud they can't sleep. Others hear nothing at all. Joe Mullins, a retired electrical engineer, drives his sound meter around town at 2 a.m. The needle doesn't move. His wife sits in the passenger seat covering her ears. Congressional Representative Bill Richardson calls in a team of scientists. Sandia National Laboratories sends acoustic engineers with equipment sensitive enough to detect a whisper from a mile away. They map every power line, every gas pipeline, every radio tower within 50 miles. The instruments detect traffic noise, air conditioning units, distant aircraft. Nothing unusual in the 30 to 80 hertz range, but the people keep hearing the hum. Dr. James Kelly at the University of New Mexico runs medical tests on 41 hearers, blood work, hearing tests, brain scans. No common medical condition, no hearing damage. Age ranges from middle-aged to elderly, equal numbers of men and women. The only pattern, most hearers live in quiet suburban areas, not downtown near actual industrial noise. The final report in 1997 lists dozens of potential sources, rules out every single one. The hum continues today. Online forums track new cases in Bristol, England, Windsor, Ontario, Kokomo, Indiana. Always the same frequency range, always unexplained. Number 3, the bloop, Pacific Ocean, 1997. 1,500 miles west of Chile, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration drops hydrophones 3 miles deep. They're listening for submarine activity during the Cold War's final years. Instead, they pick up something else, a sound lasting 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ultra-low frequency, so loud the sensors detect it from 3,000 miles away. The frequency signature doesn't match any known marine animal. Blue whale calls top out at 20 hertz and carry across 500 miles maximum. The bloop hits frequencies below that range and carries 100 times more power across 6 times the distance. The sound rises in frequency over 90 seconds, like an animal call, but no animal on Earth could generate that volume. The largest creature ever measured was a female blue whale at 108 feet. Based on the bloop's acoustic power, the source would need to be larger than any whale species by a factor of 10. NOAA releases the audio file sped up 16 times so human ears can process it. Scientists worldwide analyze the waveform, ocean temperature variations, underwater landslides, volcanic activity, tectonic shifts. Nothing fits the profile. The bloop's frequency pattern shows none of the harmonic signatures typical of geological events. In 2012, NOAA quietly suggests the source might be Antarctic ice movement. Ice calving from the Ross Ice Shelf. The analysis paper uses words like likely and probably. Not confirmed. The acoustic models don't match ice shelf breakup events recorded before or since. The bloop file remains in their database. unsolved. Number 4. Ball lightning. Laboratory conditions can't recreate it, but thousands of witnesses describe the same thing. A glowing sphere the size of a basketball floats through the air for 10 to 20 seconds, passes through windows and walls like they're not there, sometimes explodes with the force of a small bomb, sometimes just fades away. The earliest recorded case dates to 1753. Richmond's laboratory in St. Petersburg. Georg Wilhelm Richmann, a physicist studying atmospheric electricity for the Russian Academy of Sciences. Ball lightning enters his lab during a thunderstorm on July 26th. Hits him in the head, kills him instantly. His assistant Ivan Sokolov survives to describe the event. A glowing orb the size of a human head floated through the window, struck Richmann, and vanished. The autopsy shows burns consistent with electrical injury. 270 years later, we still can't explain the physics. Laboratory attempts create tiny plasma balls that last microseconds using millions of volts. Real ball lightning reportedly lasts 20,000 times longer at room temperature with no external power source. The energy requirements don't add up. Plasma needs constant energy input to maintain its structure. No known mechanism can sustain a plasmasphere for 20 seconds without massive power. Yet commercial airline pilots report seeing them bounce along aircraft wings during thunderstorms. Captain R.C. Jennison of Kent University documented one that entered his aircraft through the front and exited through the rear, leaving no damage. Meteorologists document them floating down chimneys, rolling across floors, hovering near power lines. The Royal Society has collected 800 documented cases from credible witnesses. 0 explanations that match the physics. Witnessed, recorded. Impossible. If you value documented scientific mysteries like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from peer-reviewed journals and official scientific reports. Now back to the story. Number 5. The Devil's Kettle Falls, Minnesota's North Shore, Judge C.R. Magny State Park. The Brule River splits around a rock outcrop 8 miles inland from Lake Superior. Half the water plunges down a normal waterfall into a pool below. The other half disappears into a hole called the Devil's Kettle. Where does it go? Nobody knows. Hydrologists from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources have dropped ping-pong balls, colored dyes, and GPS trackers into the kettle since the 1960s. Nothing comes out downstream. Nothing shows up in nearby lakes or rivers. The water just vanishes. The falls pump 800 cubic feet of water per second into that hole during spring runoff. That's enough to fill an Olympic swimming pool every 4 minutes. For 6 months of the year, 43 million gallons per day vanish into bedrock. Conservation of Mass says that water has to go somewhere. Underground river systems, deep aquifers, connection to Lake Superior. Every theory fails when they test it. Fluorescent dye should show up somewhere in the Lake Superior watershed within hours. It doesn't. In 1981, researchers dropped a car into the kettle to test the theory of underground caverns. The car never surfaced. Ground penetrating. Radar maps the bedrock below the falls. The scans show solid basalt and rhyolite down to depths where hydrostatic pressure would force any underground stream back to the surface through cracks and fissures. The geological survey shows no major fault lines or cave systems in the area. The water enters the Devil's Kettle at 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Physics says it can't just disappear. The measurements say it does. Number 6, the moving stones of Death Valley. Racetrack Playa, California desert. Rocks weighing up to 700 pounds slide across the flat lake bed. They leave straight tracks behind them like someone dragged them with a rope. Some tracks stretch for half a mile. The stones move at night when no one's watching. In the morning, they're in new positions. No tire marks, no footprints, no explanation. Scientists have studied this phenomenon for 80 years. The first documented cases date to 1915. Geologist Charles Watson maps rock positions and returns months later to find them moved. Early theories blame flash floods, earthquakes, underground magnetic fields. None fit the evidence. The tracks run uphill. They curve in perfect arcs. Some rocks move while others nearby stay put. In 2014, researchers finally capture the movement on camera. Thin sheets of ice form on winter nights when rare rainstorms flood the playa. Morning. Sun breaks the ice into floating panels. Light winds push the ice sheets. The ice nudges the rocks along the slippery, muddy surface. Mystery solved? The ice sheets are only 3 to 6 millimeters thick. The physics equations show this setup can't move a 700-pound boulder. The rocks keep sliding. Number 7. The Hessdalen Lights, Norway's Hessdalen Valley. 1800s to present day. Unexplained lights appear in the sky 2 to 3 times per week. White, yellow, red spheres hover above the ridgelines. They pulse like heartbeats, split apart and merge back together, move at impossible speeds, then stop instantly. Local residents report seeing the lights for generations. In 1981, Norwegian scientist Erling Strand sets up Project Hessdalen. 40 years of continuous monitoring with cameras, radar, and spectrum analysis. The lights show up on all instruments simultaneously. Radar confirms they're physical objects, not optical illusions. Some measure up to 100 meters across. They emit radio frequencies in the VHF range. Chemical analysis of the light spectrum shows no match to known atmospheric phenomena. Not plasma, not ball lightning, not piezoelectric effects from quartz in the mountains. The Norwegian government funds the research. University of Østfold maintains a permanent monitoring station. International teams publish papers in peer-reviewed journals. The data keeps coming in, the explanations don't. Number 8. The WOW. Signals twin, April 29th, 2019. Parkes Radio Telescope, Australia. A burst of radio waves lasting just milliseconds. But this one's different from typical fast radio bursts. The signal repeats every 16 days on a precise schedule. 157-day cycle. 4 bursts in a pattern, then silence for 12 days. Then it starts again. Fast radio. Burst 180916. The precision suggests an artificial source. Natural phenomena don't follow 16-day schedules. The signal comes from a galaxy 500 million light-years away. Whatever's generating these bursts has been following the same pattern for years. Radio telescopes worldwide track the source. The bursts arrive exactly when predicted, plus or minus a few hours across a 16-day cycle. That's timing accuracy of better than 1% over cosmic distances. The energy output during each burst equals what our sun produces in an entire year, compressed into 4 milliseconds. No known natural process can generate that much power precisely that regularly. The journal Nature publishes the findings. The schedule continues. Number 9. The Oakville Blobs, Washington State, August 7th, 1994. Clear jelly-like globs fall from the sky over Oakville. Dozens of residents collect samples. The blobs coat everything. Cars, sidewalks, lawns. 23 people develop flu-like symptoms after contact. 2 emergency room visits. The material looks like clear jello but feels oily. Under microscopes, it contains white blood cells. Human white blood cells. Laboratory analysis at Washington. State Department of Health confirms the findings. Bacteria cultures grown from the samples matched no known species. The Federal Aviation Administration reports no aircraft dumped waste over Oakville that day. Weather Service records show no unusual atmospheric conditions. Military exercises? Negative. Chemical spills? No reports. The samples sit in laboratory. Storage for years. Additional testing reveals protein structures similar to human cells, but not identical. Where did 23 residents encounter the same unknown biological material falling from clear skies? The lab reports list the samples as unidentified biological material. Case closed without explanation. Number 10. The Millennium Bridge. Wobble. London, June 10th, 2000. Opening day. 90,000 people cross the new pedestrian bridge over the Thames. At 10:30 a.m., the bridge starts swaying side to side. Small movement at first, then bigger. Pedestrians grab the railings. Some sit down on the deck. Others flee back to solid ground. Engineers shut the bridge after 3 days. The structure underwent years of testing and computer modeling. Every specification exceeded safety requirements. The problem? Human footsteps. When people feel the bridge moves slightly, they adjust their walking to stay balanced. This creates a feedback loop. Small movement causes people to step in rhythm. Synchronized stepping increases the movement. More sway, more synchronized steps. The bridge's natural frequency matched the human walking frequency, but this shouldn't cause dangerous swaying. Millennium Bridge wasn't the first suspension bridge to wobble. Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapsed in 1940 due to wind resonance. Engineers learned from that disaster. Modern bridges include damping systems to prevent resonance. The Millennium Bridge had those systems. They failed anyway. The fix required adding 37 viscous dampers and 52 tuned mass dampers. 91 devices to stop a bridge that was designed not to wobble from wobbling. The engineering calculations didn't predict the problem. Human behavior broke the math. Number 11. The Bermuda Triangle Flight 19. December 5th, 1945. 5 Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale. Routine training mission. 2 hours into the flight, radio contact turns strange. Flight leader Lieutenant Charles Taylor reports his compass spinning. We don't know which way is west. Everything is wrong. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should. Radio transmissions grow weaker. Final message at 4:25 p.m. All planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. A PBM Mariner rescue plane takes off to find them. 23 minutes later, the rescue plane's radio goes silent. 6 aircraft vanish. 27 men. No wreckage found despite the largest search operation in naval history. Weather records show clear skies with 10-mile visibility. Ocean conditions, calm. No storms reported. The official investigation lists the cause as pilot error. But pilot error doesn't explain why compasses malfunction simultaneously on 5 different aircraft. Radio interference, magnetic anomalies, equipment failure. The Navy tests every theory. Compass tests in the same area before and after the incident show normal readings. The search continues for weeks. Ships and planes comb 300,000 square miles of ocean. Not one piece of debris surfaces. The Avengers carried life rafts, emergency radios, survival gear. Radio range equipment could track them up to 200 miles from shore. All 5 planes vanished from radio contact in the same 4-minute window. The investigation file remains classified. Number 12. The Antikythera mechanism, Aegean Sea, 1901. Greek sponge divers discover a Roman shipwreck off Antikythera Island. Among the artifacts, a corroded bronze device covered in ancient Greek text. For 70 years, archaeologists call it an astrolabe or primitive clock. In 1971, X-ray analysis reveals the truth. Gears within gears. 37 meshing bronze wheels. Differential gearing systems. The device calculates the positions of sun, moon, and planets with mathematical precision. It predicts solar and lunar eclipses decades in advance. The gear ratios match the orbital periods of celestial bodies to several decimal places. This is analog computer technology, built between 150 and 100 BC. The next comparable mechanical device appears in European clockwork 1,400 years later. Radiocarbon dating confirms the shipwreck's age. The bronze work matches techniques used in Rhodes and Corinth during the Hellenistic period, but the mathematical knowledge required to build this machine supposedly didn't exist until the Renaissance. Hipparchus calculated lunar orbit periods around 150 BC. His numbers match the Antikythera device's gear ratios exactly. Someone took theoretical astronomy and built it into a working mechanical computer. The inscription on the bronze mentions Spiral of Hipparchus and Sphere of Archimedes. 2 names, 2 mathematical geniuses, one impossible device that shouldn't exist for another millennium. In 2022, marine archaeologists returned to the Antikythera wreck site. Ground-penetrating sonar located a second debris field 400 meters down current. From the main wreck, the sediment cores contained bronze fragments, gear teeth, more pieces of the same impossible machine. The divers hadn't found one device. They'd found the remains of several. The ancient Greeks built mechanical computers when Europe still thought the Earth was flat. The Mediterranean holds more secrets in its depths. Each dive brings more questions, more bronze fragments that shouldn't exist, more evidence of technology that predates its own invention by centuries. The timeline of human knowledge has gaps we're still trying to fill.